Yeah, I've been in practice for 20 years. I've been in Grand Junction counseling practice, owning that for 14 and a half years. Typically what I'm seeing is depression, anxiety, addictions, relational issues. Obviously that can cause relational issues. All of that, or a lot of that, I believe, is based on past trauma in a person's life. And we go through all sorts of trauma that we experience.
Definitely a lot of anxiety and depression. We're seeing a lot of trauma. Suicide thoughts, cutting. We also, get a lot of kids with eating disorders and cutting, suicide thoughts. I sent 3 kids to the hospital just in this last month. We definitely get kids in elementary school that are pretty suicidal. We get a lot of 5th graders. We get as young as 3rd and 4th grade. A lot of them are not knowing how to express themselves. And so they're using that to say, I need help. And so a lot of times we're going in and educating them about how serious that is to use that word. And maybe we can express ourselves in different ways.
I think there's a lot of barriers to mental health. And it's on many levels. There's systemic barriers, there's community barriers, there's not enough maybe counselors for the help that's needed. The biggest thing as a consumer or a client is that it's hard to know what to look for. I think as somebody who wants to get counseling, it's very overwhelming. If somebody has an issue like an earache, they can go right to their doctor, right? If somebody has mental health issues, there's an alphabet soup that then the client has to sort through to try and figure out how to find the help that they need. I would recommend, the first step being knowing that you're not alone. We all need help. You're not alone. Talking to somebody is not shameful. It's actually very courageous. So if somebody can acknowledge, okay, I need some help, I'm gonna start looking for it, and I'm not gonna let these barriers get in my way, is a great first step.
So we get a lot of kids with no insurance. We get families who can't afford copays. We have long wait lists in the community. Parents that don't follow through, because of various reasons, their own mental health needs.
So I would say the hardest part about being a counselor is the isolation. I make my own hours, I'm my own boss. I can do whatever I need to do around my family's schedule. But being alone in this work is really hard. And I know that as I've been doing this for 10 years, I know that I'm good at this, but nobody else sees it. So I'm entirely alone in my profession. Nobody sees the work that I'm capable of, really. Nobody's ever watched me do a session. And so then I feel like I don't belong anywhere because I'm just alone.
Yeah, just wanting to, just remembering that, okay, it's Jesus who's doing the healing. I'm partnering with him as best I can, to create a space for healing to happen. So sometimes that burden feels heavy, like I want people to get whole and be helped. The pressure that I feel sometimes, that I wouldn't take that on myself in essence, but I'd partner with God and let him be the healer.
Mental health stigma. I think that I wish that we would talk about mental health in a different way. I wish that we would be able to talk about it on a normal basis and to normalize it, and that there would be a day that we would treat mental health the same as physical issues. We're doing a good job in our county, but I think it needs to be better.
I would say the magic wand, and I see a movement in the church, over the past few years, is that we're getting back to, Jesus lived the human life. And so we need to look at, well, how did he live his life? And maybe we need to be his disciple and live the way he lived. And so there's a few things I see flowing through the life of Christ. He spent time in silence and solitude, right? And so as his follower, do I spend time in silence and solitude? The second thing I see flowing through the life of Christ was he lived a life of community. And he, intentionally, the Bible says he intentionally prayed, Father, who do you want me to journey with here on this earth? Third thing flowing through Jesus' life was he lived a life of service. And the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life for many. The fourth thing I see that was flowing through Jesus' life was he kept the Sabbath. Because why? That was his time to refresh and to kind of reflect, I believe, and to get away from the work. The fifth thing, I've kind of just added this recently, but the fifth thing I see in Jesus' life is that he lived a life of purpose. He had mission. He was on mission. He knew what his mission was. And I believe his offer to us is an offer, of life to the full. And if we want life to the full, I believe we need to, model our life after him and live the way he lived.